Welcome to this week's video. I'm Aaron Ross, and today I just want to talk pretty much all about Matt Day. Now, I don't know him personally, but I'm pretty sure he would hate that I'm doing this video, but I have had a couple of exchanges with him on social media and a couple of messages sent back and forth, and I'm going to spend today talking about how valuable he is in just this entire film and photography community here on YouTube. I know I've learned a ton, and I know many others have. I just want to take a moment and say thank you to Matt, and hopefully if there's anybody who's watching me that doesn't know him, which I think would be very unlikely, just to put a little bit of a spotlight on his work and what he does here on YouTube. Now, Matt is somebody who has been here on YouTube on this platform for a long time and doing photography way longer than that. And he's really focused in on the film photography world and has touched on other things here and there. And to me, I know that I wouldn't have picked up my film camera, the Nikon FM, if it wasn't for his videos. I know he talks a lot about, I think it's the FM2 that he has used in the past. I don't know if he currently has that or not, but one that he's used a lot, and that's why I picked up the Nikon FM. I've watched a lot of his old videos that are more of that camera review style video, the tutorials that he has done over the years, just to make sure that I know what I'm doing, and that value to my photography, I know it wouldn't be anywhere as good as it is. And I'm not trying to say that my photography is great or anything, but I know that my photos wouldn't be what they are today if it weren't for Matt's videos. And from what he has shared online, he has gone through a lot in his personal life. And that's from losing his dad, his mom has cancer, I think his brother has some things going on health-wise as well, his own health things and other things going on in his family. And just to be able to persevere through that and continue to be the positive impact that he is on the community, I think says a lot about who he is. He is, through all of that, he has spotlighted multiple charities and raised funds for multiple causes and talks about the things that he cares about. No matter what that's going to do for his following, he says what he believes, and that's powerful. And that's something that I look up to him for, and something that I hope that I can honor in my work here on YouTube as well. In addition to the information that he shares through his videos, his photos are just some of the best that I've seen in terms of documenting everyday life. He has a motto of document your life. I know that I have learned a lot from that, and there's photos that I have because of that motto, encouraging somebody to carry a camera with them just for those little moments. And those are very valuable photos to me, even if they aren't portfolio worthy and somebody else is not going to see those photos as anything besides a snapshot. There's value there for me as the photographer, as the person who has relationships with the people in those photos and maybe those memories of what was going on in that exact moment. And for him, he does an amazing job documenting his family life. And I think there's so many amazing moments with his kids. I know that there are iconic moments of his son getting haircuts. And I know that those photos for him, when he is able to look back on those just bring him so much joy. And so for me, I'm trying to do the same thing in my own photography. There's obviously work that I want to share with a larger community online, but the photos that I'm making for myself in my own life are probably the most valuable photos. And that lesson is something that I learned from Matt. In addition to what he shares online in terms of his photos, he's also provided a couple of opportunities for us to engage in his photography in a physical sense through photography books or zines. And for me, that is something that I strive to have at one point down the road, to be at a point where I have a collection of photos that I think go together and can be printed in that format. And to have his examples are truly valuable. Again, through him documenting the everyday moments of life over the last year, it's been a little crazy. I know during the first week of the pandemic and things shutting down, he did this little zine of social distancing. It's just a little book that highlights what was going on in his town during that week where everything was starting to shut down. And to me, it's those moments of knowing when to take your camera out and when to know that something is special here to snap a photo, and you know that's going to be valuable because of the context. And most recently, he published Friend of Mine. This is, I believe, a republish of a book that he did a long time ago, but he wanted to do it in the way that he now has the resources to do. And I'm not going to flip through this and show all of these photos. I believe he said he's going to do a flip through once the books get out to everybody. But there are a couple of photos that in this book really stand out to me that I just want to highlight because they capture something that I'm not used to. Now, I live in Chicago, obviously a big city. I grew up in Phoenix, also another big city. And all of these photos are from Chillicothe, Ohio, a town that I've never been to and a setting that I'm not super familiar with. And so his photos give me some insight into life in a different place, in a different way that I'm just not familiar with. And that to me is powerful, to bring somebody in who doesn't have that experience but can still connect with the photos and see something in them that again isn't part of their everyday life, but there's still humanity and there's still life in those, and there's some connection being made with the viewer of that photo. In addition to all of the technical aspects and composition elements, it's really the story that he's able to tell through his photos. And the first one that sticks out to me is of the gentleman using a firearm. I don't know anything about them and what it actually is, but it has a casing flying through the air. And again, this is something that I'm not super familiar with. I have very limited experience with this type of activity, and it just gives me a peek into what life might be like in Chillicothe. And to me, what's amazing about this photo is that you don't see a lot of detail. The subject of this photo is almost in a pure silhouette, and you don't even need that detail to understand what's going on in this photo, the story that's being told in this photo, and the context around it. The second photo that stuck out to me is this one of a house. It just looks like, it doesn't look like anybody is living in it, I don't think, but it just tells a story of what life in a rural context looks like, what a house looks like there, and documenting some of what's happening in the rural setting of things decaying a little bit. And again, this is not a setting that I'm familiar with. This is not the style of home that I'm familiar with, but I get to peek into that, and all of us get to peek into that because he has put this photo book together and shared this photography with us. And the last photo that I want to talk about that stuck out to me is the one looking through a fence at a baseball game. Now, if you watch a lot of my videos, there's a good chance that you've seen me wearing a baseball hat with a saguaro baseball hat on it. It's because I love baseball. And so this photo captures some nostalgia for me as playing Little League and all of that, but just that small baseball field, it's not this big grand MLB stadium or anything like that, but it is what it feels like to be there. I feel the warmth of the sun, the sweat of just playing a sport and being outside and being active. And to me, I love the fact that this is from the perspective of a fan looking through the chain link fence. If this was a photo that either was just a little bit closer trying to get through that fence or something, I don't think it would have the same effect, because that fence is part of the story of the setting, the quality of the field and all of that, and it just again sticks out to me and connects to me. Even though I've never been to this baseball field, I don't know the teams that are playing, but I know what Little League or what baseball feels like in this type of setting. So again, I am making this video, one, just to say thank you to Matt. He is continuing to add value in all of those aspects, and I hope he knows that. I hope that he recognizes his worth in this community because it's high. And so if you haven't followed him on his channel or Instagram or anything, go ahead and check those out. I'm sure you have. If you've ended up on this video, but that is gonna do it. Until next time, I'm gonna go make some photos, and I hope you do too. And while you're at it, document your life.